let's look at the commercial work, which you say is 75% of what the company does. I mean, it seems to me that the power that you have in engaging consumers is potentially as disruptive to traditional advertising as Uber was to taxis or Airbnb was to hotels. How scared should the madmen be of you? I'm quite scared of you now.
Well, actually, look, I really think communication is changing. I said this right at the beginning, and this is not political communication. The bigger picture is much more exciting. I look at the advertising industry that fundamentally has not changed for 50 or 60 years, that is still top-down, that is, it's largely creative-driven, and I see an industry that needs to pivot or frankly die. Pivot or die, because clients expect much greater transparency, much greater accountability, and at last the technology is there to be able to deliver that. We can use data to really understand what messages audiences need, how to segment those audiences, how to target them, how to optimize digital advertising and television advertising. And this is a sea change, and we are seeing brands trying now, scrambling now, sorry, I beg your pardon, we can see agencies now scrambling to try and introduce more technology into their advertising and marketing offering. But there are a number of threats that are attacking this industry, not least the big consultancies, the small disruptors like Cambridge Analytica, and indeed the big brands themselves, who at last are beginning to realize that data is one of their most valuable assets, and they don't just want to give it away. So they're prepared to bring some of these technologies in-house. But I do think the data environment is changing, and I think this is really exciting. What we're going to see is people taking ownership of their data. People, I think, are beginning to get quite fed up of large companies harvesting their data and monetizing it. People want to have more control about their data, how it's used, whether it's used at all for politics or for advertising and marketing. And people want to see a reciprocity. They want to be able to see some return on the data that's being used, their data that's being used. And so I'm very excited about this. This is an area that we're investing heavily in to try and understand how there can be a fair exchange of data, of an individual's data for services or for some other sort of remuneration, such that people feel that they're not being taken advantage of. We set up a government division about 14 years ago, where we use data and behavioral sciences to address really serious problems. These could range from tackling terrorist recruitment, counter-radicalization, to very large-scale national or regional government communication campaigns to address issues of health, welfare and development. These are the sorts of things that we've been investing in as a company, we continue to invest in, but sadly don't get nearly enough attention in the media. I think
so like the opioid crisis in America is...
Actually, that's a very good example. So the opioid crisis is an example of a project that Cambridge Analytica's data science team decided to work on off their own back. Just as a voluntary piece of work, and already they found and identified some really interesting facts. For instance, that of the 3,007 counties in America, only 80% of opioid deaths are only found in 10% of those counties. Just that one piece of data alone can help you significantly target the communications in terms of dealing with this horror.